Question 12. Purchase discount is 0% for up to $500. 5% is added for each additional $500 up to $2,000. And 25% is applied for above $2,000. Which test inputs in dollar would be selected for equivalence partitions? To select appropriate test inputs for equivalence partitioning based on the provided discount criteria, we need to ensure that the selected values adequately cover each partition, including invalid partitions. For invalid partition, take -100. For valid partition, 0 to 500, take 250. As well for valid partition, 501 to 1000, take 650. For 1001 to 1500, take 1300. 1501 to 2000, take 1700. And for 2001 and above, take 2900. Question 13. Your team is using planning poker to estimate the effort for a story. Although 3 votes were taken to reach consensus, how many story points should be allocated to the story? In this scenario, first vote, 3, 8. Second vote, 5, 8. Third vote, 5, 5. First, let us see, what is consensus-based decision-making? Consensus-based decision-making involves group members discussing and agreeing on a single decision. So, voting should continue until consensus is reached, and that number should be used to assign the points to the story. Here, after discussion, a consensus is reached in the third vote only. Both developers and testers estimate 5 points. Therefore, the story should be allocated 5 story points. Question 14. Why is it important to avoid the principle of tests wearing out? A. Dynamic testing is less reliable in finding bugs. B. Running the same tests repeatedly will consistently find new failures. C. Tests should not be context dependent. D. Running the same tests repeatedly will reduce the chance of finding new failures. Answer is D. Running the same tests repeatedly will reduce the chance of finding new failures. Explanation. The principle of tests wearing out refers running the same set of tests repeatedly will eventually find fewer and fewer new defects. Since over the time, the majority of the issues are identified. So running the same tests will be less effective at uncovering new problems. This is why it is important to continually update and vary your test cases, introducing new ones and modifying existing ones to cover different scenarios and edge cases. Question 15. If you are testing a module of code, how do you determine the level of branch coverage you have achieved? A. By taking the number of branches you have tested and dividing that by the total number of executable statements in the module. B. By taking the number of branches you have tested and dividing that by the total number of branches in the module. C. By taking the number of branches you have tested and dividing that by the total lines of code in the module. D. By taking the number of branches you have tested and dividing that by the total number of test cases you have executed for the module. Answer is option B. Formula to calculate branch coverage: number of executed branches divide by total number of branches. Where number of executed branches is the count of branches that have been tested during the testing process. Total number of branches is the total count of branches present in the module. Question 16. You are creating test cases for the following story, applying the ATDD approach. As a hotel owner, I want to reserve all the rooms on a floor before moving to the next floor, so I can maximize the efficiency of the housekeeping staff. You have decided to apply equivalence partitioning to this requirement and have identified the following partitions for the occupancy of a floor. 0. 1 floor full, overbooked. You also want to be sure that the software is usable by the staff and that it performs quickly in determining which floors have availability. Given this information, what should be the priority order for the tests you will design? Let us prioritize the tests now. 0. Floor empty. This is base case. 1 floor full, a critical valid scenario. Overbooked, an invalid scenario. Usability ensures the system is user-friendly and easy for the staff to operate. Performance ensures the system performance. Question 17. Decide which of the following statements are true for dynamic testing and which are true for static testing. 1. Testing can cause failures from which the associated defects are determined through subsequent analysis. 2. Testing can lead to the detection of defects. 3. Testing can't be used to measure quality characteristics that are dependent on executing code. 4. Testing can't be applied to non-executable work products. 5. Testing finds defects directly. Correct answer is option A. So, 2, 3, 5 are true for static testing. 1, 2, 4 are true for dynamic testing. Please refer section 3.1.3 in the syllabus for more details. Question 18. You are testing a registration page for a web application and your task is to design test cases for the login field on the registration form. The login must be between 8 and 12 characters, alphanumeric, and contain at least one capital, uppercase, letter. You want to apply the each choice equivalence partitioning test technique. How many partitions do you need to cover? Here, we need to find total number of partitions needed to cover all aspects of the login field requirements. Answer is 7. Partition P1, length less than 8. P2, length 8 to 12. P3, length greater than 12. P4, alphanumeric, contains letters and numbers. P5, not alphanumeric, contains non-alphanumeric characters or only numbers, letters. P6, includes at least one uppercase letter. P7, does not include any uppercase letter. Question 19. Which Agile testing quadrants tests are designed from the business perspective and may involve the use of techniques such as ATDD and BDD? Here we have Agile testing quadrant. This table summarizes the types of tests in each quadrant and their characteristics. Quadrant and the type of tests. Q1, unit tests, component tests. Q2, acceptance tests, functional tests. Q3, exploratory tests, usability tests. Q4, performance tests, load tests, security tests. So, it is clear, Quadrant 2 uses the techniques such as ATDD and BDD. Question 20. Consider the following state transition diagram for a login system. Assume that each test must start at the beginning state, login, and each test ends in the dashboard state. What is the minimal number of test cases to achieve valid transitions coverage? Here we have different authentication methods such as phone, email, and social media. So the minimal number of test cases needed to cover all valid state transitions are 3. The test case TC1 verifies the login process with phone authentication, handling invalid code entries, SMS resending, navigation back to login, and successful login leading to the dashboard. Test case 2 login with email. Test case 3 login with social media. Question 21. If the developers are releasing code for testing that is not version controlled, what process is missing? The answer is A. Configuration management. Explanation. Configuration management involves maintaining consistency in a product's performance, functionality, and attributes. Version control ensures that all changes to the codebase are tracked and managed. Without version control, there's no systematic way to track changes, manage different code versions, or collaborate effectively. So, if the developers are releasing code for testing that is not version controlled, the missing process is A. Configuration management. Question 22. You want to estimate the test effort for the new project using estimation based on ratios. You calculate the test to development effort ratio using average data for both development effort and test effort from 4 historical projects similar to the new one. The table shows this historical data. The estimated development effort for the new project is 750 person days. What is your estimate of the test effort in this project? To estimate the test effort for the new project, Use the development to test effort ratio of 3/5 for project P1. Substitute development effort as 750 person-days. And the test effort t-value is found as 1250. Therefore, the estimated test effort for the new project is 1250 person-days.